Keith Tebow from FRCMedia. Thank you for joining us today. We're speaking with Mayor Coogan. We speak with the mayor every week. We're doing it a day early this week. We're pleased to be joined by Mayor Paul Coogan of the city of Fall River. Mayor, how are you?
Good, Keith. How are you?
I am doing well. Let's get right to it. This Monday, the Fall River City Council voted to, in effect, reject your proposed budget, sending it back. They're looking for more information. Some councilors were concerned about not having enough time to vet the budget before the end of the month when the month-to-month appropriations ended. The council did vote for another 1 month extension to a 1 month appropriation to cover the bills in September. Let me just ask you, what was your response to the council's move? And I guess we'll talk about what next plans will be.
My plans will be to meet with the 5 councilors that voted no, look for some additional sources of revenue. If you remember, initially, we wanted to do another 1 month in September for just that reason. The more information you can get, the better your accuracy rate is on your budget. So we were trying to buy some time initially, but they wanted a full budget, so we sent it down. Obviously, it didn't go through as we planned, so we'll do some housekeeping and meet with the no votes and see if we can secure 5 votes or better.
Now, there was talk about from some of the councilors that, the way that the budget was proposed, there's a structural deficit using some one-time money, about $2 million, that will not bode well for fiscal 2022 when there may be some harder decisions to make. Some councilors were saying, why don't we make some of those harder decisions now? I know that there isn't any broad-based layoffs in the current budget except for some of the workers at the senior centers because they're not open. Was there any consideration about trying to make some more difficult decisions, I guess, in 21 instead of 22?
Well, I'm not a fan of layoffs. So if you remember, one of the things that triggered the first go-round was the amount of positions we left open in public safety. We were using those as a hedge against the increases, but they were not keen on that either. So we put them back in with the help of a grant from the Fall River School Department, and there was still concern. So what we're going to try to do now is go forward, recruit the additional votes we need, show them some plans we have going forward to offset that structural deficit in 22, and see if we can get this done.
Now, in terms of allaying the fears of the 5 councilors, are these things that were already in discussions? I guess that some of the councilors may say to you, well, Mayor, why wasn't this presented to us on Monday night, some of these ideas? So maybe we could have avoided, extending to another 1 month appropriation.
Well, what we did, we bring the councilors in before, obviously, Monday night, and we have our meetings and we ask them questions. What are you concerned about? Where are we going with this? And a few, I want to say one specifically said he was not interested in voting for the budget. He was a definite no, but they did not give us a heads up on some of the items that concern them. Going forward, we made it clear, and we've tried to keep everybody on the same plateau. If we can just get an idea of what your concerns are, if we can address them, fine. If we can't, then you have to vote your conscience. But that's what we need. And again, we're doing that now. We brought them in before. It usually works out. It's usually a very open meeting where people say what they believe and they kick around ideas. And if we need to get more out of them before a meeting, then that's what we're going to ask for.
I know one of the most difficult parts through all this is still, we've talked about this since March, right? So many of the unknowns that are out there, the unknowns on whether the city can spend the $7.9 million in CARES Act money that you got from the state to be able to, to patch some of these holes. And even, that may be only a one-time fix, but it may get you through to work some other plans. This is actually your first budget. So even though you've dealt with budgets as a member of the school committee and working in the school department, how difficult a process has this really been for you and Mary Sahadi and the others in your administration?
It's extremely trying. What happened? Look where we are. We're in September 1, and we're talking about a budget that should have been done back in May. It's all related to COVID. It's thrown everything out of kilter. I did read the transcript of the Treasury Secretary, I think his name is Mnuchin, yesterday when he testified before Congress. And his answers were verbatim what we've been saying for the last 2 months. Give us the increased flexibility to hire police, fire, EMS, city workers. And he, speaking obviously for the Trump administration for the first time, said, we're in favor of increasing the flexibility. So I'm hoping now that on record, we have the Treasury Secretary saying we're going to loosen things up, then we can maybe get something done, which will then free that money up, which will allow us going into 22 to put our money back in our stabilization fund, maybe prepay some stuff going into 22 so we can get a jump on that budget, and maybe we won't get as severe a whack as we think.
And with politics being the way it is, with the election 2 months away, maybe those in Washington may be willing to provide that sort of flexibility in the hopes of it corresponding to some votes, I guess, in November.
If they give me the flexibility, I may think of voting for them. We just want to get it done so we can get the city on a financial even keel and go forward.
Yeah, I wanted to talk for about a minute or so about COVID. The past few days, the number of cases in Fall River have been more double digits than not. Have there been any discussions as to reasons why? Are there some areas of concern that maybe the health department there has been aware of?
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. There's just been a spike. Again, it's some of our younger people got hit recently. One of the restaurants, but it just seems like we're bubbling up. I know last week when I looked at some of those testing numbers of the new positives, even the old positive, I think one day it was almost 45,000 tests. So the testing jumped, some of the positives jumped, and it's part of this disease. You just got to roll with it as best you can, be accurate with the numbers, and hopefully we're getting closer to the end.
But there hasn't been any, there's been stories about, I believe it was in Maine, where someone went to a wedding there and, 50 or 60 people got infected. Nothing in terms of groups of people that may have been infected here at all.
Nope, that would be too easy. It was a group that did it, or it was a church service or a party. I haven't heard anything like that, Keith. Sorry.
Yeah. No worries. Just a couple of other follow-ups from last week. It was announced, I believe, today or yesterday that, your office ran sort of a contest to help clean up the city, seeking organizations' input, and they could win prizes. And that was released yesterday. Looked like there were about a dozen or so community groups involved. And how was that response, and how well was the city cleaned?
Well, when you see the pictures of some of the areas these kids and adults, cleaned. It's great. I was like, a couple of them had to do a double take. We literally had our first place winner was a landscaping company that drives around the city for no pay, cutting brush, clearing areas, rakes, trash, bottles, everything. And it makes the place look great. But again, our census kids and some of our National Honor Society kids from Durfee, that were working at the drive-in, they chose the winners. They looked at all the pictures and they picked the best 3 out of 14. But that means 14 areas of the city got cleaned up, and who knows, maybe before the end of the summer we do it again, end of the fall.
Yeah, well, we always talk about fall cleanup, right? So here's an opportunity, I guess, to do something like that again. Any other plans for any other community events? I know, the unofficial end of summer is Monday for Labor Day, but I know you've tried to do some things. Any plans to maybe have something in September?
Yeah, the drive-in the other night was our biggest one. It really went well. And now one of the suggestions is to look at something for October, more PG-13 type movie, not a kids movie, that everybody can go to, like a Jaws or a Poltergeist or Greased. I've heard all these names. So we may do another one. I think the drive-in's a nice, safe way to do it. We have a snack bar set up. We have a couple of food trucks. We have bathrooms at Durfee. It's just a natural amphitheater. So it's a great place to do it. And again, it seems like it's picking up every time, and it seems like people have fun, and we hope that we can get a bigger crowd for the next one.
I failed to ask the past couple of times. It was $5 a car. Where does that money go?
Goes to what is it called? Recreation. I'm sorry, I'm lost.
Oh, recreation. Okay.
Like Joe Biden. Recreation. We give them all the proceeds. We don't keep any of it. We pay for the movie, and no one gets paid. That they're all volunteers that man the place, and it's a lot of fun.
All right. Mayor Paul Coogan, as always, thank you for joining us, and we'll probably be back on Thursday next week. I appreciate it.
Keith, I'll see you then. Thank you.
All right. And thank you all for joining us here at FRC Media. I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great rest of your day.